If you are a fan of stop motion and in particular the history of cinema, The Haunted Hotel is definitely one that you're going to want to watch. This was released in 1907, directed by Stuart Blackton, and it's an early example of blending live action and stop motion. I wouldn't say it's the earliest, but certainly it's a strong example of certain techniques that were deployed around the turn of the century. And I kind of like the narrative setup. It's about a traveller who is at a hotel and spooky things, mysterious things begin to happen. And of course, these things that begin to happen are demonstrated through the use of stop motion. And given the time, given the technology, I'd say the stop motion quality looks pretty good. The the only quibble I have is actually the design of the set. I don't really think they utilised the space that well, but I guess because they were focusing so much on the stop motion, that's where the audience's attention was going to be. So obviously, it would. I guess it's the equivalent of having a full coloured set if you're filming in black and white. Having an elaborate set wouldn't be that fascinating when you're focusing on the stop motion. I'm aware that it's a slight quibble, but just it was just something that I wanted to kind of mention that stood out to me. I didn't think the set design lended itself very well to this hotel setup. Nevertheless, I thought it was quite fascinating. The narrative I do like. I do like things like spooky hotels, haunted locations. Those kind of films always speak to me, and I love the history of cinema. So to see these older techniques being used to effect the movements, the transitions are actually quite smooth. Obviously, there are some cuts and there are some jaunty angles, and you can tell that it's stop motion. It's not 100% smooth, of course, but I actually was quite impressed. I was genuinely impressed. It's not very long, it's 5 minutes, if that, but a good chunk of that time is spent using stop motion. It's not just 4.5 minutes of live action and a tiny tickle of stop motion. It actually blends them very well with good balance, and there are certain things where I would have liked to have seen some behind the scenes footage. Maybe that exists, I don't know, I haven't googled it. But if you do know anywhere where I can learn more about how the Haunted Hotel was made and the specific techniques they employed, I'd definitely be very interested in learning more. But watching it all on face value, with I know I have a tiny bit of knowledge about J. Stuart Blackton's work and the kind of things he was creating at this time and the kinds of technology he was using. But I would like to expand that knowledge. So if anybody knows of any reliable resources, please feel free to point me in their direction. But either way, if you like film, The Haunted Hotel is definitely worth checking out. It's certainly a very fascinating film. Brief, but one that you could talk about quite a lot. I'm happy to discuss it in any way that you wish to. The Haunted Hotel is definitely worth watching.